It's time to wander the world with Sharon. Enjoy this Big Blend radio podcast featuring award-winning travel writer and photographer Sharon K. Kurtz. Well, today when we wander the world with Sharon, she is taking us to Oakland, California. It's on the East Bay side of beautiful San Francisco. And, I know while she was there, she was having fun and sending me interesting text messages while she was on the cannabis trail. I'm just saying, she did. She had fun. But it also seems to have a lot of culture, a lot of history, a lot of good food, and breweries, ice cream, and the beautiful redwood trees, the largest, not the largest, those are the sequoias, the tallest living trees on earth,
Tallest.
right, Sharon? Welcome
Yes,
back.
tallest. Hi, thank you, Lisa.
It's good to watch you on your Oakland adventures. So, I think people don't really realize how amazing that area is.
That is true. When you think of people think of going to Northern California, they're going to go to San Francisco. It's what they know, what they've heard of. Of course, it's wonderful. But did they think of going to Oakland? Very seldom. And that is such a shame. Number one, it's a media perception. There's this recurrent theme that Oakland is crime ridden. There's all these problems, but Oakland is so much more than that. Yes, they have a crime problem, but so does every other major urban city, Detroit, Buffalo. But so people need to go to Oakland for their culture, for the beautiful weather, for the redwoods. There is hiking up in the hills. The weather is beautiful, like every day of the year, sunny. It's got diversity. It's got all of these multicultural communities that come together and make the most fabulous food.
That's exactly it. I think, and food brings people together. So if everyone's a little nervous of each other's different cultures, take a bite out of it. But don't eat anybody. Okay, we're done with those years. But I think Oakland's, history as well. There's a lot of famous people that come from there, right?
Yes, two in particular. You've heard of Jack London, the famous novelist.
Yes.
Well, he was a young man in Oakland and he worked on the waterfront and he wrote The Call of the Wild and White Fang.
Yeah, he is one of the best in the world as far as I'm concerned. And he loved to wander too, just like you, Sharon.
He did. I talked about him on an earlier podcast about I did a podcast about Fanny Quigley. She was this woman who went to the wilds of Alaska and lived, and Jack London went to visit her in her cabin in the Alaska wilds.
Like the frontier. Yeah.
Yes, the frontier.
That's amazing. Like when you think about travel back then too, right? And then doesn't our vice president and president-elect also come from there?
Claim to fame. Kamala Harris is from Oakland. She's actually, I think she lived in Oakland and then she lived in Berkeley, and they're just this close. They're next door to one another. And we actually drove by her house and got to see the house where she lived as a child. Now it's got a Montessori school on the bottom and an apartment on the top, which I think in her speech last night, I heard that's what it was then, that her mother counted on a community to help raise her daughters, and the people from the school down below watched them when she was working. So Kamala Harris, cool. She credits Oakland for, her sense of right and wrong and the path she's taken in her life.
This is fascinating to me, when we think about all of these people, where they come from, and you see their humble beginnings, right? And
yes.
And realize that's an inspiring story, whether or not, no matter what side of the, political party scheme you're on. I think it's always good to see where people's roots come from and what they've had to overcome to achieve, right? And so that's really cool to see. And I think Oakland must be proud to see,
They are very proud of her.
And she could make, massive history if she does become president, being the first female president for America. And that will really put Oakland on the map,
yes.
I think. But right now we're doing a good job, and you went to go and hang out there and have fun. I've been through Oakland before. My introduction was that giant bridge.
Oh, the Bay Bridge.
Oh boy, Yeah, I
Oh,
think
yes.
I next time I need to go to the cannabis trail after that. So,
Yes.
but let's talk about Rocky Road ice cream because that's something that should be on the cannabis trail
Oh
too.
my goodness. Well, I went, they have this avenue called Piedmont Avenue, and it's long and it's got all these unique individual shops, individual restaurants. There's no chains of any sort, and they're all locally owned. And the storefronts are old fashioned. And so I went to a jewelry store first, uh, Philippa Roberts, to they have Oakland gifts and jewelry. Look at my necklace. I
Oh,
bought
that's
this
beautiful.
at Philippa Roberts. And then they have this wonderful Israeli restaurant called Pamela. And when I went to speak with the chef, it's a woman-owned chef, by the way. I went to speak with her, and out front was this Zumba class. All these women, and it was loud, and they were having the best time. So it's like a community hub, this restaurant on Piedmont Avenue. And then I went down after having lunch at Pamela. The favorite stop is Fenton's Creamery. That is, it's from the 1800s, still original place, and that's where Rocky Road was created.
Yummy.
I
Rocky
had
Road is
a,
good.
oh, I had a double. Let me tell you, it was good.
Oh, wow. And to have it from where it like really came from. Do they have
Yes.
a backstory on that on how they created it? Or is it just someone went, let's put a little mushrooms. See, I am on the cannabis trail, marshmallows in there and, all those the crunch in there.
I'll have to research that further. I'm writing all these stories right now, and I'm gonna get the backstory on how did they create Rocky Road, but that's where it was created.
Oh, that's delicious though, man. Now I want some. I don't care what season or how cold or how hot it is. Ice cream is year round, babies. Let's have some. And if you're in Oakland, like you're saying, because you're on the east side, you get a little bit more sunshine than you do if you're on the bay, like in
Yes.
in San Francisco Bay Area. So that's really nice so that you have the right ice cream for that. Now
Well,
what go ahead.
I this was a double purpose for me to go to Oakland. I wanted to visit this unique city and find out what makes it tick. But then my favorite cousin lives nearby in Richmond. And she told me the story when I told her I went to Piedmont Avenue. And she said, well, my mom, when we were good, she would always promise us, I will take you to Fenton's if you're good. And they would always go to Fenton's Creamery when she was a little girl, a long, long time
Wow.
ago. So everybody goes to Fenton's.
That's it. So you must. It's a must do thing when you go
Yeah.
there. What is the rest of the foodie scene like? Because with
Oh my
all the
goodness.
different cultures, like that's what
Yeah.
I love about Louisiana too, is like all the different foods.
Yeah, it's the diversity and it's a creative atmosphere. All of
Nice.
the people, residents in Oakland are passionate about their city and they all work together. So I
Mm.
was especially interested in the restaurants that had women chefs. And I
Oh,
went to some really good restaurants. So one was a Colombian cuisine, one was Thai, one was the best Italian I think I've ever had. It's called Mama Oakland, and it was an original restaurant, very small in a
mm.
neighborhood. And they are recently designated as a Michelin recommended restaurant
Oh, wow.
with
Wow.
all of the original recipes. So I met with the chef, women chefs. So I have went to 3 or 4 restaurants that had women chefs. That was very unusual.
That's awesome though, man. I love to see that many women, in there because it's so weird how men got to be like the head honchos in the kitchen, yet they tell us to just shut up and get in the kitchen as women, right? But
Yes,
don't be the star, right? It's kind of weird.
yes. I talked to all 3 of them. I'm going to profile 3 of them in an article, and I talked to them about the dynamics. And yes, they said it was hard coming up, and yes, it's male dominated, but it is changing. And the more women who get into positions, the head chef position, and have more creative control, there's the better it is for everyone.
Very cool. That's cool. And so, well, I think so. Women can do everything. We can do plumbing. I can fix a washing machine.
Well, there you go.
I have fixed an issue on a car, half. So I mean, there's things you can do. And I think that's really great when you travel to seek that out too. Is who's behind the food that you're eating? What's the backstory? All of that,
Yes,
you know,
yes,
even if we're not travel writers, right? As travelers, seek that out because it just you start to value everything a little bit more and understand it, you
yeah,
know. And with Oakland being so culturally diverse, you know, everyone has a different background and family history that goes back to other countries. They bring it here and work together. And so that's an amazing thing to me. Is just I want to hear everyone's stories, you know.
yeah,
I want to and hopefully people will start to get along a little bit better, you know. That's what travel's about,
yeah,
getting along.
yeah.
Yeah. So shopping and dining were big.
Yes.
Hiking and nature. So do they have parks within like the city
Oh,
limits or do you go
yes,
outside?
they have. We went to a park called uh Reinhardt Redwood Regional Park. And look at the redwoods behind my face
Mm.
there. They are incredible. So one day we went to this neighborhood called um, Rock Ridge. It's more of a suburban leafy neighborhood. It's got College Avenue that runs the whole way through. And we went to this food shop. It was like, if I lived in Oakland, I would be there every single day. It was like a series of little shops, a coffee shop, the best bakery I think I've ever seen, a butcher, a fish market, the best gourmet foods. So it's kind of like an Italy. Have you been to Italy?
Mm-mm.
It's kind of like that's a wonderful shop that has all these gourmet products that are Italian, but this shop had much more than that. And it's been there for 30 years. So we
Wow.
went there first. And when we had Julia, who met me, said, let's have a cup of coffee. We went outside, and wouldn't you know, the baker came out with like a tray this big of pastries, all for us, like two
What?
people. Yeah. And so we had little bits, and then she put all of it into a big bag, and we got to take it with us.
It sounds like you did need to go hiking after that, huh?
Yeah. So anyway, they packed us a lunch, and then we went to Cabot's Chabot Space and Science Center. It's up in the hills. It's from the 1800s, and it originally was a for astrology and telescopes. And now it's a family center. They have nighttime activities, watch the stars. The kids can
Mm.
go do experiments. And so then from there, that's when we went to Reinhardt Redwood Park. And we walked through the redwoods and we had our packed lunch, and it was wonderful.
That's amazing. Like to me, to be able to have that, because when you go in nature, like our national parks, a lot of times we forget that nighttime is when all this magnificence also happens.
Yeah.
So that it's amazing to me because like you get to have here's the foodie part of it all in one day. Go see what happens at night, go see about the stars and learn about this, but then also go out in nature, cool down, and really be part of that system,
Yeah.
you know, but that's all in one day.
Yeah.
See?
Well, another day, it was the same day that I had my big ice cream. Then we went to Rooted in the 510. Do you know what that is?
No.
The cannabis distillery.
Oh,
So that was my afternoon. And so Oakland is
that
this,
was it. She goes, that's my afternoon.
and
Did
then I
you
was done.
really? So did you have fun?
I had a blast. You know, uh, Oakland is where it kind of is the whole city is in the cannabis culture. You know, in the early days in the 60s, it was illegal until
Mhm.
19 uh, oh God, 2018. And so, people started realizing that cannabis was good for health for people that were suffering from maladies, and it helped cure
Spasms and
symptoms.
things like
Yeah,
that.
all kinds
Yeah.
of things. So of course it was illegal. They got busted. All these little shops in the back alleys. But then in 2018, it became legal in California. So rooted in the 510, it root the word because of the root of a plant. 510 is the area code of Oakland. So it's rooted in the 510. This cannabis distillery, I swear, it looked like an Apple store. It was gigantic. You walked in, and there you had to register to get in, and there were counters everywhere, and it was well lit. And it was kind of like a little museum as well.
Wow.
But people could come in. They did when I was there. I did too. you can purchase whatever you like, but they don't have big bowls of buds out on the counter. You know, you just don't grab
It's
what
not
you
like
want.
everybody goes in and takes a bong hit and,
Yeah, yeah.
listens to
You
reggae
don't have
music.
a shopping cart and you're not picking out. No, they're all behind glass, but you pick what you, and they have cannabis in every single manner you can imagine. And so they lead you through, and then a salesperson takes your order, and you take your order, and you go home. But this is also what was fun. This big old store, it wasn't finished yet, but they actually have a senior center.
Wow. So this,
So
because I,
soon,
I know a lot of people that enjoy their gummies and their edibles and end of day treats
yeah,
because it takes away aches and pains.
so soon, it was not opened yet, but I got to see where it was going to be. This big old room, and they're going to have senior day where you can come in, you can relax. They will have samples for you walking around. There's a cool art on the wall. You can just hang out in the senior center behind in the back of the shop.
Well, that's kind of cool because it's also about education, right? So it seems
Yeah,
like they're part of that. And so they have like the actual weed, the bud, right? And
yeah.
then do they have like the CBD oils and do they have the edibles and stuff like that?
All manner. Now, I went all around and I bought, because I can, because it's legal. I'm old enough. And I bought edibles. The one I bought was for calming and relaxation at the end of the day. They were mango flavored, like little really gummies with sugary on the outside. And Dave and I, my husband, we slept like babies. I can tell you, it had uh, the um, what is this, CBC, CB,
CBD and the
and the
THC,
other, the
THC.
yes, it had both. And so that was my one purchase. Now, what I asked her when I left, I said, can I bring these home? And she went, well, you know, it's legal in California, but it's not in Texas.
I know Willie even got in trouble in Texas, Willie Nelson.
So anyway, I won't tell you if I did or not. We won't go there, but it
Mhm.
is illegal in Texas.
Yeah. And did you fly?
I flew, yes. Yep.
I know people who get away with it, but I'm not going to say anything and who they are and what they do. But I don't know, because there's different strains and some of it is not 100% with the THC like you're talking about. And I've done that without the THC in it.
Mhm.
And you still do get a little hee hee. And there's ones that you take that you're not going to be like stoned out of your gourd and just eating pizza all night. And the Rocky Road would be good.
Yeah.
But it kind of energizes you, calms and energizes you at the same time. And it opens the door to creativity,
Well,
a little bit
I
more.
I had a guides with me that told me the history in Oakland. And we also talked about the cannabis trail. There is a real cannabis trail. It goes from Oakland to Mendocino, and it's got all of these places, and you can go and you can see where things happened and where history was made. And it's
Wow.
fascinating.
We used to do a lot of interviews with Ed Forshin. He was known as the New Jersey Weedman, and he got arrested all the time. And we would do shows, and then his wife opened up a weed restaurant, and that was also interesting because it also helped them with cancer in their family and
Mhm.
with him. And so the history of being arrested, and sometimes they kind of raided and took everything,
Yeah.
including their money, include things like that. And we did some wild shows, but I know he was doing bong loads when we were talking. So it was funny. I mean, I thought it was funny, but it was dangerous too with what has happened in the past with it being illegal. There was a lot of danger that surrounded that part of it, and so it's interesting because some people are really pro it being legal, some people are not, and I find that fascinating. So when you purchased, were you able to, did you have to use cash versus a card? Because when we were in Seattle area, there were actual robberies and things like that because they weren't allowed to take credit cards at the
You know what? I
dispensaries.
did use cash, and I think when I went to the counter, they asked me to. I can't quite remember, but I did use cash.
Yeah, because the banks don't want to have be part of the marijuana scene.
Yeah, perhaps. But it
It's
was
some legal thing.
fascinating. Not what I was expecting. I swear this looked like an Apple store. And it
That's
was
wild.
clean and big ceilings and neat. And it just shows you the history and what they've come from, with the raids and everything else to now.
Oh, fascinating to me. I find it really fascinating just how we somehow make it through to have what we want to have a little extra
Yes.
good time. I mean, the prohibition times, moonshining, all of it. As humans, I mean, it dates back to way back when, even ancient Greece, ancient Rome, they were doing things with, mushrooms and fungus and weed. There's history of cannabis that goes all the way back to the ancient times of people uh, mixing it with wine, even. So I find this fascinating. I'm totally fascinated by it because it's a medicinal plant, and we have many medicinal plants, mushrooms being one of them. And so I don't know all about it, but I find it just interesting in how one plant can annoy so many people. The whole reefer madness, that's
Yeah.
madness. And
Yes.
and part of it is Hearst. William Hearst is the one who started the big anti-pot movement.
Oh,
There's like anyway, there's a whole thing on that because he wanted to sell something else and it was in his way.
oh,
So
oh.
yeah. Anyway, yeah, yeah. Well, I'm glad you had a good time.
I did. I
Did
did
you
the
giggle before you sleep? Like when you took those? I want to know if you got any kind of giggles.
did I get giggles? I woke up very happy.
Well, that's good. But I think you do anyway,
I
you
wish
know.
I wish I would have bought more types, but
Then
really
it
now
worked.
I want to go back because now I would make my order be different to just try different things. But then you have to realize that you have to use it up before you go home unless you want to stay for an extended trip.
There's such a thing as UPS.
I don't know. I didn't ask if you can ship it. That is a good question. I don't know.
Nobody has to know.
Well, unless it comes from rooted in
We're
the
all
five
going to get in
on the
trouble. Like
box.
here it is. Next thing you know, the FBI is going to be knocking on our doors. You
Yeah.
know, yeah, it's like illegal shipping of gummies. That's so funny. It's so funny because now children's candy looks, could be innocent, but it's not. You know what I mean? That's the other part of it. It's like brownies were innocent, but now they're not. When Nancy, she was, real young in her early 20s, went from Canada back into the States. She had baked all these brownies and the border patrol tossed her brownies and she
Oh,
had just baked them, and that's because they thought they were going to be happy
oh,
brownies.
oh.
That's the
Well, we
way.
didn't get to talk about Jack London Square. We talked about Jack
Oh,
London.
I did want to hear about that.
Jack
Yes.
London Square is this wonderful place right on the water with shops and breweries and big open center right on the water. But what was really fun was that is where you can catch the San Francisco Bay Ferry
Oh,
over to
cool.
San Francisco to the ferry building. It was round trip $4.50.
No way.
It was the best money I ever spent. It was 35 minutes across the bay. You go right near the Bay Bridge. You see the outline of San Francisco. Oakland is the biggest shipping port on the West Coast. You see all the big commercial ships being loaded. That was so much fun riding on top of that ferry for $4.50.
Wow, did you get to see Alcatraz, or that's the other side, isn't it?
Yes, I think we did in the distance. I don't remember which outline it was that I saw, but and then I went with my Oakland friends and we couldn't get a ferry to come back because they had me going like this on these trips. I had to get back. And we took the BART instead. So we went over on the ferry and
Hmm.
then we took BART back, and it's just as fast and easy as can be. So if someone does come to the West Coast and they come to San Francisco, don't be afraid of Oakland. Take the ferry over to Jack London Square, have wonderful an evening. There's festivals, and it's
That's cool.
inexpensive. And why not do both destinations?
I love that, and I love that you talk about this public transport. All of
Yes.
that is, and you don't have to drive. I
No.
mean, I know about driving San Francisco, and boy, have I got myself into trouble, just circled around and around. And I've done that city so lost so many times. And I love it. I love San
Yeah.
Francisco. I'm a huge fan of that whole area, big time. I mean, just
Well, let
even
me
the
talk.
music culture. Oh, and the
I want,
Oakland music culture and sports culture.
yes, there's
Oh,
festivals, there's music, there's art. And then in Jack London Square, one of my favorite other stops was this Asian inspired brewery, craft brewery. It was called Doka Beer. And this young Korean man started this. He takes Asian flavors like kimchi and uh,
mm,
teas, and he infuses the beer with these Asian flavors. It
nice.
was the best. I will tell you, I do not drink beer normally because of a very unfortunate underage experience that we won't go into. But the smell of beer just makes me go, no, no, no. But here at Doka Beer, I loved four of his flavors. They were, one was a sour, one was, but
Oh, sour is good. Mm.
yes, it was a wonderful stop in Jack London Square. And then two doors down was this wine shop by a woman owner. It was called Minimo. So this woman owner, Erin Cogburn, she worked in museums and it was always her dream to start a wine shop. So she did. She came to Oakland. She opened up this wine shop. It's for small wineries and eco friendly varietals, and had a
Nice.
wonderful time in her wine shop. So go to Jack London Square. There's so much to do and see. You'll have a great
Mm.
time.
The other thing, Oakland, some great musicians come out of there.
Yeah.
One of them is our friend Zakiya Hooker, John Lee Hooker's daughter. She comes
Yes.
on this show frequently, and she is amazing. Her husband also is based out of Oakland, and where they met, and he was with the Natural Four. They were like, oh, dude, they're cool. I gotta send you their links of their music. But the music that comes out of Oakland, it's kind of people, you got to research it because I think it always just gets tagged into San Francisco. That's the other thing I think.
Yes.
A lot of good stuff came from Oakland and just got lumped into, oh, the Bay Area
Yeah.
instead of understanding, Oakland. And then you talk about Richmond and that area. Bay Station is a great band that comes on our shows too.
Ah.
And, during COVID, they were all playing on porches for people. They were just standing out there and performing the whole time. So
Well,
that area has also got the women's, the Richmond and that whole area next to Oakland did a lot in regards to World War II history and then women's history. Rosie the Riveter, our
yes,
national monument, is there too. And I wanted to go, and I'm still like, I gotta get there. We need to go, Sharon. Let's go, and then we
I
can go play
know.
gummies afterwards.
I know. Well, it has the coolest vibe, the food, the weather, the beauty of the redwoods. There's no reason to be afraid of Oakland. There's
Mm.
like this recurrent thing that pops up that Oakland is dangerous, don't go there. Well, that is
Oh,
ridiculous.
oh, you know what? That's ridiculous because honestly, stuff happens everywhere. I don't care where you are. It happens in suburbia. I mean, if you want to think about it, I know like some of our most famous la-di-da neighborhoods is some of the places that human trafficking exists. We've done shows on this, and it would blow your mind if you knew, oh, this is the Beaver Cleaver safe place. No, stuff
Yeah.
happens. And Tucson, our city, it's a mad bad rap too. And I've never seen, well, Gabby Giffords did get shot there, but that was a different
Ah,
deranged kind of thing.
yeah.
But honestly,
Well,
I
it
don't
goes
know. I
down
felt
to
so
being
relaxed and
when
being
you
aware.
travel when
Remember,
you travel the world these days, you need to have your smarts, your spidey sense out. Don't go in dark alleys. Be careful with your belongings. Don't leave anything open in your car. Don't leave your car unlocked. You just need to be a smart traveler. And
yeah, and don't
everyone,
wear tons of jewelry.
right? Yeah,
Don't look like a tourist.
yeah,
Even the way you hold your camera,
yes, exactly.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do a show on this.
I
We've
know.
got some shows coming on this on, insurance, shows on reviews, because don't be mean. Don't be mean when you travel either. Be nice to all these small business
Yes,
owners. That's the other thing that I really love about this conversation today is there's so many small business owners, family, women owned. This is fantastic to me because
yeah,
that's makes for an exciting destination, because you know that you're actually part of a community when you shop with a small business, go to a mom and pop restaurant, that kind of thing, you community, which is
yeah.
it makes all the difference in the world. What
Well,
was lodging like, by the way, before you go? I wanted to
oh,
ask
I
you about that.
stayed. I'm so glad you brought that up. There's this area of town called Uptown. And as early as the 2000s, it was like derelict. It was old commercial buildings and factories and auto shops. And it was all like in disrepair. So they started cleaning it up. And some very smart man, bought a big block of it and it turned it into artist studios. He cleaned it up and started renting it to artists. So now it is this happening art destination in Uptown. And that's where my hotel was. It was called the Kim Kissel. It was a Hyatt hotel, but it's looks retro. It's right there in Uptown. It was easy to get anywhere. It was just a short walk. A cab ride to Mama. Oakland is in Uptown. And so they have these art walks now on Fridays and Saturdays, and people just are out and about in this beautiful area of town that was as early as 2000 was you didn't go there. It was dangerous.
Wow, I love this. It's a renaissance.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, everyone go there, and we've got a links in the episode notes for you to go and find out more about the region to plan your visit. So thank you so much, Sharon. Always fun.
It was a blast. And I'm high on Oakland. I think everyone should give it a try. High for lots of reasons.
Yes. Thanks for joining us here on Big Blend Radio's Wonder the World with Sharon podcast. You can keep up with Sharon's adventures at SharonKKurtz.com. Follow Big Blend Radio at BigBlendRadio.com. Happy travels.